Now you have a tool, just like intraoral photos, that can hopefully increase case acceptance.
It does make sense to charge it out.
Yeah, but it's like oral hygiene instructions.
But no one,
ever charge zero for it.
Why?
You should just get rid of it.
But why?
You're not doing that because you're like, I want to make a shit ton more money. You're just saying, if this patient is super picky and wants this, and now this lab cost is going to be 4 times as much, because sometimes they are that much, well then I don't want to eat that. That eats into my margin. So you just do a cosmetic upgrade. You know, I like to scroll through Facebook, right?
Yeah, like too much.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm mainly on the like dental Facebook groups though, right? Like that's kind of what I'm more interested in like seeing. It's not like I post ever really. But one thing that I've seen pretty frequently, right, this last like month or two, is I always see these posts, whether, you know, I'm looking at like Dental Nachos or any of the other groups, on passing credit card fees onto a patient, right?
Okay.
Like it's getting common in other places,
Yeah.
right? Like we see it, and it seems like it's getting to an inflection point in dentistry where like some people, you got early adopters doing it, but like I think it's gonna hit where it's gonna go from like, you know, 10% of offices are doing it to like 80 in like the next year. I think that's one thing you're gonna see a big change there, because it's just becoming, I think,
less
like,
icky
and
like,
more cool. Yeah, like
I
okay
guess.
to do.
Because someone brought this up to us back in, it's been 2014.
Wow.
Yeah. Because when I had the other office, they had said, I don't think it was like being pushed yet, but they're like, you could push credit card fees onto your patient. Other industries are doing it.
Yeah.
But we were like, we're not early adopters. Like,
Yeah.
no, we're not going to do this. Like,
No.
this is weird. And
No.
we were in California, and like,
Yeah.
I'm sure there was like 1,000 rules on what you can
Oh
and
yeah.
can't do.
I can get into that. I went into a deep dive on this thing because I
Okay,
thought it was
so tell me
interesting.
about. So tell me what's
I mean,
going on.
I guess before I go into that too, it's kind of topical for us because our office is in the process of implementing this too, right?
Okay.
And so we've been vetting out different companies, and I kind of learned more about this whole like way of surcharging versus doing like dual pricing, like the whole thing behind it, right? And then I was like, you know, I should just do a deep dive into this thing because it's kind of interesting.
Well, you need to, because I don't know. Okay, so what's the difference?
Yeah, I'll go through that in a second. But first,
Okay.
I want to really bore you by going over the history
Oh, thank you.
of this whole thing. So if I can make this engaging, then I'm doing something
Then
right.
we have a hit.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I'm going to give you a background on everything.
Yeah, go.
All right. Credit cards.
Sure.
A brief history. So credit cards, you know, 1950s or so is when they started to come out, right? And that's when they started, and then they started to gain more and more popularity, and more retailers and stuff were using it. Well, people were doing surcharges because there were always merchant fees associated with it, right? Like the credit card makes it very basic. Credit cards make their money because when you run your credit card, the merchant, right?
Yep.
They are the one that eats a fee, right? And currently it's around like say 3%, right? I don't know what it was like back in the day when stuff started. I know it's like been rising though over time. So anyways, you had retailers that were like, okay, well, yeah, let's take credit cards. Let's give people get more access to, you know, buying more shit, and when they don't have money for it, and that's fine for us. But it was starting to squeeze their margins a little bit. So they're like, let's pass this credit card fee on to people. So it was kind of like the Wild West a little bit, where everyone was just kind of doing what they wanted to do. There really weren't any regulations on it or anything like that until the mid 70s. So in 1976, the government added an amendment to some act that was there that banned businesses from adding this surcharge.
Okay.
Okay. It expired in 1984, but a lot of states still enforced this ban. after the federal ban kind of expired. But during that time, because businesses are always smart and people always try to find loopholes, is they started to do a thing instead of surcharging, which is charging someone more to use a credit card. They started offering cash discounts. So this is it's the same thing, just packaged differently. Okay. So this is called dual pricing.
Okay.
So this is what you see, and we've seen forever when you go to a gas station and you see the two prices out there, right? It's cash price, and then the regular price, right? But you're giving a cash discount, so it's like semantics on you're not doing a surcharge on a credit card. You're giving people a discount off the full fee, but if you only have an option to pay with cash or credit, the full fee includes credit, right? So it's just a workaround. It was a workaround, right? So that's what gas stations started to do, because gas stations have like no margins on their gas, right? So them eating that credit card fee was hurting them. So that's why we still see it today in gas stations. So anyways, fast forward to the 2000s, right? And more retailers were getting concerned about these merchant fees going up and up. And it kind of got popular again to be like, all right, we got to figure out how to do this surcharging, right? Like there's dual pricing, but it's kind of like, it's a little weird and awkward to kind of like to implement, I think, a little bit. Like people like discounts, but it's a little, I don't know, a little weird. So in 2013, there was actually a class action lawsuit against Visa, MasterCard, and several banks saying that these policies were unfair. Ended up being a $7 billion settlement, which included the rights for merchants to start charging surcharges. So that kind of opened the floodgates to making it a little more kosher to do, right? Well, I mean, states like California, New York, some other states like that still had their own state restrictions on it, right? Okay. So we'll move forward a few more years to 2017. And this is where after this happened, it became way more commonplace. So there's a small nail salon in New York City called, what is it called? Expressions Hair Design, right? It's just random. I think it's like a one-shop salon. I don't think this is like a corporate salon. And they didn't really like the dual pricing thing because they felt they weren't able to communicate it clearly to their customers about like, it's a cash discount, but then the full fee is this amount. And they were just it felt kind of icky to them, right? They didn't really like it. So
are they actually giving a discount, or is the other price an inflated amount?
It's not, no. So let's say your haircut's normally $100, right? They're saying there's a cash discount of $95 if you have cash on you.
Yeah.
If not, it's $100.
Right. So there is a discount.
Yeah, it's a discount for paying with cash.
Okay.
But I don't know. For them, they were like, our customers don't really like it. We don't really like it. So we're going to do a surcharge. We're going to say it's a surcharge. And we're just going to say, use credit card, it's $100. But, if you don't, it's $95. So they were just switching like how they were wording it, right? They wanted to word it a different way and call it a surcharge. Well, I think like the Attorney General of New York caught wind of this and kind of gently told them, hey, you can't do that. That's against our policies, our laws in New York. You cannot say it's a surcharge for credit cards. You can do the dual pricing, but not surcharge. And so they were kind of like, that's kind of stupid, right? We don't really want to do that. So attorneys got involved. It ended up going all the way to the Supreme Court, right?
Okay.
And so this is 2017. And the Supreme Court determined that these laws restrict free speech because it became a free speech issue because the nail salon said you shouldn't be able to control how we communicate with our customers because we want to be transparent. And this way of saying a surcharge is in our opinion, a more transparent way in how we want to do it. And you're preventing us from saying that. And so the Supreme Court actually sided with the nail salon. And so this kind of paved the way for businesses to start calling it a surcharge. And, since then, in the last, 7 years? I mean, I feel like it's really exploded, right? We're seeing more and more of that. I mean, probably with, COVID happening and just rises of costs for everything, like in dental offices, any business, right? Like you're just seeing more and more people doing this and it becoming more commonplace.
So what, as a separate question, so I remember like back in college, like you'd go down to like the convenience store.
Yeah.
And you buy your Pepsi or, your two things that were like under $10.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, I have a credit card. And one, they'd sometimes say, no, we don't accept.
No, they would say no, right?
They would.
Yeah,
or there was like a little sticky on the processor that said anything under $10, we charge like $1.
$3.
Yeah.
Or whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever it was.
So
what's that?
So that's kind of the same concept, except I think nowadays they put a lot more. You can do it, and they put some guardrails in place now, right? So there's certain things you can and can't do with surcharges. You can't just say like, we're going to charge
like
you 20% or a flat fee. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know if you can or cannot do a flat fee. What I do know is most states do not allow you to charge more than what the transaction fee is. So let's say the credit card is charging us 3%.
Okay.
You cannot charge the patient more than 3%. You're just recouping costs. This is just a recoup thing. It is not a way to make more money.
Makes sense.
But so then when I got into this more, there's kind of two main ways you do this, which I was kind of talking about earlier. There's dual pricing, which was kind of born out of surcharging being illegal for a bit, and then surcharging. So,
but I don't understand how but like if your thing is $100, if your product, whatever, service, and you're offering a discount, so that's the dual pricing. So you're discounting it. That's not the same thing as a surcharge, though. Like you're not recouping your cost.
But you're just doing it in a different way.
Your thing is $100.
You're charging $100 for someone to use a credit card.
Yeah, but your product is $100.
No. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
is
I know,
it
that's why it's
100 or
kind of
is it like is it inside the 100? Like, is it if there was nothing, no credit cards, it was If there was no credit cards, would it be at $100? And now it's like 103.
If there were no such thing as credit cards, you would do it at 95. It's a way to pay more. So like, I think in that scenario,
so your service is not $100.
No, your service is 95.
Okay, so then it's yes.
Yeah,
I understand
Do you
it that
understand
way.
That now?
Yeah. Yeah, you were not explaining it correctly.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm amazing at explaining things anyway. So
no, so it's your thing is if you want to recoup the cost of the credit card.
Yeah.
You can surcharge.
And that's what that's what everyone was doing until it was made illegal.
It was banned,
and then they were like, let's do a workaround.
So still my thing is $100, but now I'm going to say it's $105.
Yep, you're going to inflate your
I'm going to inflate it, and now so then it's not back to 95. It's now my cash discount is $100.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. And we've done this in our dental offices. We did that in the beginning because we do everything.
Yeah.
In the beginning, right? I mean, we had cash discounts on treatment.
Yeah, that wasn't done.
But that was actually a discount, though.
That was a discount because we wanted cash.
that was a discount because we needed yes, and we hoped it was like a little incentive.
In a way, just a launder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, that different purpose.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So anyways, that explains it better. Does that clear that up a little bit?
Okay, so we have dual pricing. Now we have we have dual pricing and a surcharge.
Yep.
Any other options?
Those are the two main ones. Yeah.
Okay.
My understanding is those are the options that everyone uses.
Okay.
Okay, so I've kind of gone through all that. Now how it relates back to our office and how the reasons why I kind of went into this more is we at least said the initial, yes, let's look at passing this fee on to the patient. So the first company we vetted, they strictly did dual pricing. Okay. So dual pricing, which we explained it's the cash discount one.
So why do you need a company for that?
Because, it's just a credit card process. It's just a company, like the merchant service provider has to be able, like the terminals and everything have to be able to do what you want, right? And they have to make sure it's compliant.
Okay.
So that's what you're doing. So for us, I get that. I think you can make the argument from a psychology standpoint that people like to say a discount versus a charge on something.
Yeah.
So I think that does sound better. But here's some of the issues that at least personally at our office we ran into, and it was more like implementation issues. So we use like Flex, right? And they have digital treatment plans, which is awesome. So when a patient comes in and they need a crown, and let's just say crown buildup, I don't know, it's $1,500, right? Let's just use for easy numbers. And how you would have to implement this system is you would present to the patient it's $1,500, and then you can say, that's the cash price though. That's the cash discount price. If they want a credit card, it's $1,500 plus 3%. So the issue what's tough is
you never want to go up.
You were going up, and it didn't integrate with Open Dental, which was a challenge, right? We're used to being able to post payments and do it automatically, right? In there, which is great. And it didn't integrate with Flex. So my office managers at both offices were just like, I get the concept of doing this. This is just super clunky. Like, I don't know how I'm going to tell patients.
And this is just this one company that you guys are working with?
This is just one that did it that does dual pricing, which at this point, I didn't know there was another option. I thought this is just what you do. And like, it's just one thing. And so I got a lot of initial kickback from team members about how do I tell this to patients? Because, my office manager had said, like, am I going to like, someone's going to get pissed, and that I understand it. And now I'm going to have to tell them to like go run to the bank. Like, so that, because I presented to them $1,500.
Oh yeah,
right?
That does not make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't work because
it's not great.
That's the amount you did that. So like, then you'd have to do all this extra work of like, put in a code in Open Dental, right? Or do something to change the fee.
You'd have to do it. You'd have to present the inflated price first and show this is what it is. Because most people are going to use their credit card. And then if they didn't, it's like, oh, here's the back to the regular fee minus the like credit card processing fee.
And I mean, the other problem we ran into as well is this merchant service provider said, you charge the 3% on credit or debit cards. And I was like, that's kind of weird, because my understanding is the fees are not nearly as much on a debit card versus a credit card, right? Because the debit card is just coming from your bank account. So to me, it's like a check.
Yeah, what'd they say?
They were like, our system can't differentiate it. It can't tell the difference between a credit card and a debit card, so it doesn't know what's running. And then I was like, okay,
that seems weird.
Yeah, and so then I was like, I don't know if I really like this company. Let's like look into another option. So we looked into another option, and then that's where I learned more about surcharging versus dual pricing. And what we're going to implement is surcharging. So that's where you can go in, and this system will let you know like the inflated price, right? It'll post automatically in Open Dental, which is good. And then you're presenting it more of like, this is the price if you pay with a credit card, but if you pay with a debit card or cash, it's
this reduced fee.
It's the reduced fee, right? To me.
So how does it work with Flex and the treatment plan?
So the treatment plan thing, I still have to figure that piece out. I don't know how that part works.
So you're still going to have to create a code and add.
You still might have to do that. Or when you're presenting, you can say like, this is the fee if you're paying with a debit card or cash.
That doesn't.
There's a three. Hold on. But to me, that's a little bit easier, just from the standpoint that you're giving someone another option besides going to a bank and doing cash. And this is kind of in getting cash, right? Like, they can still use a debit card. Most people have credit cards and debit cards, right?
I don't carry my debit card on me.
I mean, a lot of people do. I feel like it's pretty common that most people have credit cards and debit cards. And so, you'd still have to figure out the issue with Flex. But the reason that I like the surcharge more, or this model, is because I was coming at it from like, if I'm a consumer. So if I'm at I'm at a sandwich shop. If I knew there was a fee on paying with a credit card, but I had the option to use a debit card, I would just use the debit card. If I don't have enough money in my account, then I got to use credit, and then there's a fee on it, and that's okay. And so I think, and that's maybe just me, it wouldn't be as bothersome to me.
Well, this is like, okay, so like DMV, BMV, wherever you're from, they do this. Like, they have a massive credit card fee attached, or you can check and do a e-check or ACH or
Yep.
bring a check and you don't have to pay the fee. But I'm pretty sure you see, well, I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot no matter what.
But I think even these merchant services, like they're going to show you, and the person who's presenting is going to know what that fee is beforehand. So even if on the digital treatment plan it says $1,500, they will know right away. If you pay with a credit card, it's $1,550, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So even though you don't see the number there, you're able to see what that is kind of in real time is my understanding. I mean, we're about to implement it, so we'll kind of go through some of those, I guess, issues. But I think it's a little bit more transparent. And both of my office managers said after the training on that they were like, I feel comfortable enough that I could talk to patients like this and it wouldn't be weird. And then I was thinking too, like they're like, oh yeah, it's, the whole like pay with cash or you have to pay if the dual pricing thing is debit and credit. And I mean, I think technically I think the rules or the laws are that with debit cards, you can never charge more. So I think technically dual pricing is supposed to be, this is the cash or debit discount. The issue we ran into with this merchant provider was that they were saying you can still charge the patient or you still charge the patient the debit card thing because it doesn't differentiate. I don't know if that's compliant.
I don't know if that even makes sense. Yeah. Because, like you put in a PIN usually if you have like a debit card.
Well, you can write debit as credit, but hey, quick break here. If you're enjoying Just a Couple Dentists, don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. It's the best way to keep up with new episodes and hear us argue about dumb stuff and complain about dentistry. And trust me, you don't want to miss that. Now back to the show. So anyways, we're going with this company for it. We're going to try that out.
Yeah, it makes a little bit more sense. Yeah.
And the other reason I like the debit card thing is, if I'm at a sandwich shop and my sandwich is $10, I might have $10 on me. So it's not really as big of an issue. If you're trying to do a treatment plan on someone, and this is what my office managers brought up, like if they need a crown and 2 fillings, and I'm telling them it's $1,800, no one carries $1,800 in cash on them. And most people don't carry their checkbooks. Everyone born after 1970 does not carry their checkbooks with them, right?
Sure.
So I just feel like it could work in some industries. I don't feel like it works in dental as much.
Yeah, I guess.
So, I mean, that's kind of what we're doing. I'm right now okay with it.
That's going to help. I mean, that's nice. It helps with that,
It's going to help bring in, it's kind of an easy little fix to bring in some of that revenue. And the feedback I've gotten from other buddies that have done this for a bit is when they've done the surcharging model, they really haven't gotten much kickback.
Well, it seems like it's, becoming very commonplace with other companies too.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to become the norm that, the customer pays for the credit card fee. And if you don't want to do it, then carry cash around or some kind of checkbook or Bitcoin or I don't know.
Right? Yeah, I know nothing about Bitcoin. So then it kind of got me thinking, and this is what I kind of tasked you to help out with too is, so this is an example of something that you can do in your practice to just increase your top line or your revenue a little bit, right? I think we're all getting squeezed on everything, right? Like costs are just going up. So this is something that can be done that's, once it's implemented, is pretty easy, right? And it's just kind of recurring. It's simple to do.
Yeah. It's a little tweak on like your full, set of things that you need to do.
Yeah,
it's like, just turn this one knob just a little bit. And it's like, okay, that helped.
I mean, using big numbers, if you did $1 million in transactions a year and you save 3%, right? That's $30,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that adds up, right? Which is nice. So then I was trying to think of, okay, what are some other things that you can do, right? That are things similar to this of adding revenue to the practice that maybe doesn't require tons of energy and effort once it's implemented, right? Some easy things.
Okay.
The first one that I did not think of this. I saw this idea that someone posted on another Facebook group, which I guess I'll continue to steal ideas from them. Was someone asked a question about charging for using AI to interpret x-rays.
Ooh.
So like, you got a few companies out there right now that are getting pretty popular.
Yeah.
This is another one that I feel like is hitting kind of like, it's got early adopters, which is probably going to get huge in the next few years.
Oh yeah, I definitely would if I was still practicing.
And so they were asking, they're like, can I charge to interpret this?
Okay.
Okay. Can you or can you not?
Oh, that's gray line. I don't know. I would probably try to somehow. I try.
Well, I know you would.
Yeah.
What's your line? What's like your
Well,
dad?
it's
Like, you
almost
have
like,
attorneys in your family.
well,
What's the rule?
I mean, there's obviously no code for this, right?
Yeah.
It's not like an ADA code, but I mean, you could almost charge like a second opinion, code or something like that.
Well, I mean, I think if you could charge a code, it'd be like the D9999, right? Which is like the
Well,
unspecified one.
Yeah, well, obviously, no insurance is going to look
But
at this.
But insurance isn't going to cover that,
No,
right?
of course not.
And so someone did comment on this, and I don't know how true it is, right? Because it's just someone commenting, but they had mentioned that this was brought up at a recent event or like an ADA meeting, something with people that can make decisions.
Okay.
And they said that this is part of the interpretation of the X-ray. So it's kind of bundled in with the X-ray code. It's not like right now it isn't being considered. Probably.
But there's a code out there for like behavior management.
Yeah.
That you can like literally bill out to the patient because like if your kid's a little shit, you can be like, this took me extra freaking work to do, right? So it's like, how is that okay? It's not the same, but it's kind of along the same lines, right? Okay. It's kind of like, okay, I'm going to have something else, this computer, take a second look at this thing.
Cool.
Or first look or whatever it is and try to interpret it. And now I'm going to collaborate with this and come up with the
so here's my counter argument to it is like, how is that any different? Like, do you charge for intraorals?
Pictures?
No, I know in Medicaid you used to be able to charge for it.
Oh, yeah.
But do you know anyone that charges for intraoral photos?
Personally, no.
Yeah, you don't, right? Because that's like part of the
why not? I mean, why not though? I mean,
but then it's like you're charging for everything.
Well, then welcome to medical, right? I mean, they charge for every single thing.
So do you want to be at like, I guess technically if you wanted to go down that route, you could. It's just I kind of interpret it as like it's an addition tool, and I get the concept that I think the poster was trying to say is I'm going to incur an expense and I want to recoup that expense, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing as the credit card things, right? Like I'm going to choose to take credit cards. I'm going to incur an expense and I just want to be made even on it, right? So my argument to that would be though, now you have a tool just like intraoral photos that can hopefully increase case acceptance. So you're gaining the money not necessarily by like nickel and diming, is you're gaining it by increased case acceptance.
But there is even a code for intraoral photos. So like it does make sense to charge it out.
Yeah, but it's like oral hygiene instructions.
But no one,
like no one ever you charge zero for it. You should just get rid of it.
But why? Why? Who said that was like that's normal? It's just some nice guys that are like, just don't worry about it. We're gonna.
Okay, so why didn't you do it?
Oh, because that's kind of. Oh, I didn't have like the same kind of, like, I don't know.
I mean, we just never did that, right? Like I think literally we still have in our explosion code on hygiene, it still has oral hygiene instructions. Yeah. It is $0
I know,
if we don't send it out.
I
don't know why we don't.
Well, because you're supposed to like show the patient. Like I wish you could. Like I wish it was more common. I just don't want to be the first person to do it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. No, thank you.
Yeah.
But why? Like, of course you should.
It's like, you don't want to be the first person to do the surcharging thing, right? Like, let other people do it, and then be like, okay, now I'll adopt this.
Everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I guess then the point is, our responses on it, we would not do it, but if everyone else started doing it, then we would just join.
See, yeah.
We are followers.
If you want to listen to our last podcast on influence, it's consensus.
Yeah.
If everyone else does it, then maybe we'll do it too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that was one that I thought was interesting. Okay.
But then do you charge it for everyone or just the AI thing? Like,
but I mean, you're doing it on everyone, right? Like you're using that tool on every time that you're taking X-rays.
Okay. So even if there's nothing, like perfectly healthy, I guess, you're running it too.
What's the difference? It's still same time.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Your turn.
Okay, so things that we did at our office, we added like desensitizer and like healing gel.
Yeah.
So different procedures.
That's like products that But that's something you're actually doing or giving to the patient. That's like giving them like if you gave like chlorhexidine rinse, right? Like they're products that have benefits. So I think that's okay. I don't think anyone has an issue with that. And I think that is a good way to add revenue to the office. That's pretty easy.
Yeah.
That one's pretty straightforward.
I know. I mean, the desensitizer thing is like a lot of people will just do it and not charge for it
Yeah.
versus because they think of it as part of the
Yeah.
whole procedure. And we said, no, you can have sensitivity with these fillings.
Yeah.
If you want to not, then
Yeah.
you need to have the
I mean,
added
honestly, it's helped.
desensitizer.
Honestly, like since we've started using that regularly too on patients, like I've gotten way less post-op issues, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, there's a huge benefit to it. Definitely. Okay. So kind of on a similar-ish line, someone else had mentioned recently, do I charge for Cetacane, right? Cetacane's crazy freaking expensive. It's like nuts.
Okay.
Do I charge for patients who are big babies
Mm-hmm.
and they need topical on their cleanings?
Okay.
You know, for me, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, what's Cetacane cost like for what is it, 10 milliliters maybe?
Mm-hmm.
It's like 150, 180 bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I would guess that's more than a few bucks per use, right? Like if you
Mhm.
broke it down. So, I mean, it's not insignificant. And if you're doing it on cleanings and you're already a PPO office and you're already not making money
Yeah.
on it because you're paying your hygienist 60 bucks and they reimburse you 50 bucks, like you're not really super stoked to like add more of a cost, right? You're just adding more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your thoughts on that? Can you do it? Should you do it? I don't know if you can. I mean,
Why not?
Should you do it?
I don't see why not. I mean, when I went to a dermatologist to get my face like lasered, and
I thought you were going to say lifted. I was like, oh
yeah. Look at me now.
Yeah.
No, I had a laser done, and it was an added, like she said, if you want the topical, it's an added charge.
Yeah.
She's like,
if you don't want this to
freaking
fucking
hurt. It was,
Yeah.
It really did effing hurt.
Yeah.
You can add this on.
Yeah.
And I never asked how much it was, but it's just like freaking topical. Like how, like probably putting freaking cherry benzocaine on my like fucking face.
Yeah.
But it was like $2 or something worth of stuff. But they did charge. And like they gave the person the option. They're like, some people need it because it hurts.
Yeah.
Other people don't, and it's okay. But they charge for it.
Yeah.
So I don't see why you couldn't.
Yeah, totally. I mean, so one thing we did at our offices recently is I kind of looked at it as the issue is like Cetacane's way too expensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I started doing is I was like, I know it is a different compound. It's not the exact same, but there's alternatives to Cetacane like Gingicaine, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just like a stronger benzocaine. So it doesn't have, I don't know if like Cetacane has tetracaine, whatever. It has some other, something else in it too. That probably makes it more effective. But it's like, is Gingicaine fine? And I really have not seen much of a difference in patients.
Mm-hmm.
Like at least with ones that just need it on cleanings.
Mm-hmm.
By using that, I mean, in a pinch, I've just used topical and I'll like slop it around everywhere, right? Like, or put it around the teeth.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not actually slopping it.
I know.
And I found it's like, yeah, it's just good enough. And so it's like, do I want to charge the patient for this? Or if there really isn't a significant difference, just buy something that's an alternative that's cheaper.
Yeah.
It still gives the desired result. And then I don't have to go through all this. So that was kind of the solution we did for that.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. You don't want to have to spend so much money on something like that and then like stop treatment or like stop before you start, go over cost with them, make sure they're okay with it.
Yeah.
And they second guess. Now they're pissed because they got to like
then it just
spend
seems
another
like
$15 on it or something like that.
That's a lot. I don't know if I would charge 15.
Oh, really?
That just shows the difference between us.
You're like,
There's like, how high can I go? And I'm like, can I do it for free?
yeah.
All right. Do you have any more?
Yeah. So the warranting.
Oh, dental, like, well,
yeah.
the company that people know of, like dental warranty, right? But the concept of warranty.
Yeah,
and
warranting. Yeah. And you could do this with like by yourself and just offer a warranty. I would think. I don't think it has to be like.
I don't know if it has to be compliant or not.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess
idea.
that's something you'd have to ask. I don't know the answer.
Yeah,
to
I
it.
don't know either. But we did this. So in the beginning, we offered, the warranty.
I mean, we use that.
Yeah.
I mean,
this was back in the day when it was like pretty new.
Yeah.
To use, and it was pretty straightforward. It was like I think it was 12% or something like that of the UCR cost.
Yep. I think you could set what you wanted it to be.
You could.
Yeah.
They would take their cut and you would get the extra.
Yeah, I don't know how the split was, but whatever it was, there was an incentive.
They've changed it since back in the day, but yes, you would kind of split the cost on it.
Yeah.
And it was obviously an option. You could take it off if the patient didn't want it, but you would just sell the fillings or the crowns or whatever it was with this added dental warranty for however many years. And they would just submit a claim if something was like,
yeah. And I think the nice thing for them was, remember, like it was like insurance. So it followed the patient. So
correct. You could file a claim with another dental office
in
on
a different
that same
state
tooth.
anywhere. Yeah.
Yep.
And then then there's like any insurance, right? Like you had to submit X, Y, and Z. And then, but I mean, pretty much they were pretty good on paying the claims for.
We didn't have very many.
No, there really weren't. I mean, I think it was like a handful, right?
Yeah.
But there weren't a lot of issues with it. I mean, was it just laziness why we kind of stopped doing it? I can't remember why we don't use it anymore.
Yeah, because I left on maternity leave and everyone was like, we're not doing extra work anymore.
No. I remember you left and then I had to take over and I was like, let's not do anything and just be lazy. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That all makes more sense.
Yep.
Okay. How can we do less?
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. No, I liked it. They started to get a little kind of picky with stuff and they ended up having like different like tiers. Like if you didn't submit so many claims or if you only submitted so many claims, you were in like
platinum
grade A tier.
Yeah.
And they would like pay you back more. But if you're like a shitty office and like
a shitty dentist that just breaks.
Yeah. And all your stuff is like broken all the time and stuff, then you were like downgraded and you wouldn't get as much back. So they kind of did a weird tier system. They took more of a cut. And then it was like, oh gosh, do I have to like charge like 15% to the patient now and stuff? So it kind of got a lot. To tack on. So then I think we were just like, let's just nix it. And then, but I mean, the concept still works. And
I think it's something idea. Like, if I were starting all over again, I'd probably consider it and look into it for sure. I think
that added a nice little bump.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And if you do good dentistry, it's like, that's just revenue. Like no one submits claims on that stuff. Or if it was like,
and everyone likes insurance on stuff anyways, right? Like that's one thing that always comes up. Like, do you insure your crowns for X, Y, and Z or for this amount of time? And some people are like, I insure it for a year. And well, I only insure it for if they do this and this. And it's like, at least this thing like kind of takes it off your plate.
Yeah,
it kind of like puts it on someone else.
And there was rules, like you had to have like gone to your cleaning appointments or recommended cleaning appointments whenever. So that was helpful also.
Yeah, because then it got retention, right, for patients. Yeah.
And then and it was really like, oh, I broke my retainer or my mouth guard. And it was like, oh, shoot. But like, hey, it's under warranty. You don't have to pay for this. Like you can just, submit this claim. So patients were happy with it. Nice. But that's one. Real quick. If you're into what we're talking about and want more, check out my newsletter, Just 2 Minutes. It's the dental blog you can actually read between patients. No fluff, no BS, just straight up tips, stories, and insights to help you level up. You can subscribe over at coupleofdentists.com or just hit the link in our show notes. Now back to the pod. There's always, I hope people are charging like upgrade fees for like cosmetic fees.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one too. Yeah. Especially if you're using a
like special
expensive lab.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely makes sense to do that as like a cosmetic upgrade.
Yep. So we didn't do that for a long time. And
and same thing. You're using that just like credit card fees. It's a way to just recoup the added cost, right? Like you're not doing that because you're like, I want to make a shit ton more money. You're just saying this cost, like this, I have built out what my margins are
Yeah.
based on using this lab and this cost. If this patient is super picky and wants this, and now this lab cost is going to be 4 times as much, because sometimes they are that much, well, then I don't want to eat that. That eats into my margin. So you just do a cosmetic upgrade. Yeah. That's fine. So it's kind of like a charge for like shade matching, right? If
same kind of thing. Concept. Or like a rush fee. Like you shouldn't be, taking that out of your pocket. That's the patient's issue. Yeah. So stuff like that. I thought those were like easy things to implement, and making sure people do that. My other ones were like way off in left field. Okay. Give me like one weird one. So give me your best weird one. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, this one's not that weird. Okay. So I'm gonna do this one first. So like, with our membership packages, like memberships, like our dental savers plan. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you have like everyone has these now, right? It's like your 2 cleanings a year for free, or not for free, but you pay like your set amount for the year, 2 cleanings, and like 15-20% off all treatment. Yep. Whatever. Why don't you have tiers for that? So why can't you have like your membership package, basic, 2 cleanings and whatever, and then you have like your VIP package, which is like your 2 cleanings, unlimited x-rays, and whatever, and then like some like added amenities and stuff in there too. Like what? Like priority scheduling. Oh. Or like... Yeah, so it's like the set, like, is it being like an A-list member at Southwest? Like you pay more for that and then you get... Kind of, yeah. And it's like that, or you come in and you get like a neck pillow and like aromatherapy and stuff. Like you get like you get treated like a VIP kind of thing. And you pay extra for that. So it's like a class system. Definitely. In your office, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen that yet with like different membership packages, but why not? It's like... Airlines do it, like hotels do it. Yes, it's like first class. Like you're flying first class. Yeah, and you present this like, hey, if you just want like the basic package, get your 2 free, cleanings per the year. But if you really want to be taken, you get the ADEC massage chair. You get the extra leg room, right? Yeah. So I thought I don't know why someone wouldn't try that. Yeah. I'd probably try that. What else would I give someone? Let's think of something funny. Well, I mean, what else would you give them? Like a better, like a bigger op? Like, do you give them like a better chair? The window seat or something? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just headphones. Like, I don't know. Like just things that would make them feel more comfortable. A blanket, but I think like the things that are not like so tangible, but like I'm saying, like priority scheduling and stuff. Yeah. Like you get, Saturdays or like the late appointments or something like that, or we'll get you in same day for emergencies or your most attractive assistant. Well, whatever makes it. For guys, your first class stewardess versus coach stewardess. Or maybe even like a bigger discount or something, or like you get a free teeth whitening in like per the year, or whatever. I don't know. I just thought that could be kind of interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could. I think it's a cool concept. I think it would be like, how much more can you charge for it, and how hard would it be to like have your team like remember it? Like you'd have to have a strong enough team that can handle the VIP. Yeah. And you get like give that like get a wristband when you come in, like, oh, this is like the pink wristband, so we know that you're VIP. Yeah. You get to come to this. Yeah. You get to here, come into the back room. Yeah, come to the bottle service. You could offer that. Yeah. Offer drinks. Yeah, it's like the backstage pass kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, thought that was a kind of interesting idea. Post-treatment care packages. What if you could charge for that? It's like after your extraction or implant or something, it's like, here's all the things you need, but we do charge for it. It's like the pack of ice. It's the, different kind of foods like applesauce or like like soup, so you're pretty much like, it's like a care package. It is. Yeah. Your post-treatment care package. Hey, we just ripped your tooth out. Here's your care package. Yeah. But you paid for it, kind of thing. And it's all the things that you need, so you don't have to like leave. Yeah. To get that. I mean, that would be cool to build. So I think if I were doing that,
and I was like fee for service practice,
Mhm.
I would probably just build that into the fee.
That makes
I think
sense.
it's tougher with PPO because obviously you're like contracted.
Yep.
But I guess you could do that as a separate thing and say, hey, you know, we want to help make sure you're taken care of. Here's a care package after that has this, this, and this. I mean, I guess though, like you said, you know, you've mentioned before is, you know, you want to customize things. It would be kind of hard to customize that. Like, you know, what if someone like applesauce, but they're like, I don't like applesauce. Applesauce is gross, right? So
yeah, I know. That is
I
kind of
think you'd have to
tricky.
figure out how to have options, which then it's like
Then you
you
become
have
a
different
grocery
SKU.
store.
Yeah. So I don't
But
know.
something,
Yeah.
something like that. I think that could be kind of interesting. And then, I mean, that was kind of it. Unless you like charge for like an amenities package on its own, but I don't think. I still think that would be kind of hard. That was my like way left field thing.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, you get your headphones, you get your pillow and blanket, aromatherapy, candles.
Well, yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think that's one thing that's
Netflix
interesting
show.
too. Just before we wrap it up here is, you know, you do the aromatherapy thing. You're doing like the Netflix thing. Like we're adding all these costs to stuff, and then we're just assuming that it differentiates us from everyone else, which everyone's just doing it anyways, right? I think maybe 15 years ago it was like, you know, novel.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it kind of does bring up a good point is we're focusing, like you're doing that because you're like, oh, now patients are going to say yes more because you gave them a neck pillow. It's like, yeah, maybe. And maybe that's one little knob there, but I think you do have to balance spending a lot just to spend because you think it's going to relate to something versus like, what if you just got to know the patient really well and then like your case acceptance is going to be the same anyways. So I still think it's important to make someone comfortable, but I think you do have to draw a line when you're running a business on.
Yeah, and this was all paid for though. That's what I'm talking about. Like you are not going out of your way.
So it's part of like your VIP.
Money.
Yeah, it's part of like the VIP thing. It's like VIP person gets X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Well, now do you feel so much smarter knowing more about credit card fees? Is this something that's gonna stay in your head, or are you like this is out by the time I wake up tomorrow morning?
No, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to become.
She was forced to say that.
I think it's going to be a shift. I mean, I think all dental offices will do it really soon.
Yeah. Cool.
So it is what it is.
All right. See ya.